Welcome to Film at 50, a podcast that celebrates semi-centennials in the world of cinema. I'm your host, Brian Rowe, and I'm very excited to welcome Jordan Downey to this very special bonus features episode of the podcast, talking about the films of 2021, the upcoming films we're most excited to see. How are we doing, Jordan?
Very good. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. We just recorded an episode about Willard that's going to be dropping in February. So get ready, everyone. We have a really fun one coming up. But yeah, I also wanted to talk to you today, Jordan, about the upcoming films. We've got a really exciting slate of movies for 2021, which I don't know about you, but I'm very, I'm very thrilled to see after what's been an unusual year, 2020.
Yeah.
Everything getting pushed back. Most of the films on my list were supposed to drop in 2020. Right?
Same here. Yeah,
Same
a good amount. Or the ones that you would have normally said you wanted to see in 2021 are now 2022 or beyond. So,
yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Other films have been pushed back.
Right.
So I thought, I'd start with, looking back a little bit, Jordan. Are there any films you've seen in like the last year, whether they were specifically released in 2020? Or just other films of the last few weeks or months, anything that you recommend to our listeners, anything that you've seen recently that you liked a lot?
I haven't gone through, the horror films that I've seen,
any
or
horror
the genre
films?
stuff that really, I thought Host was every bit as good as everyone had said. I thought that it was so effective and absolutely terrifying.
Yes, that was on Shudder. I enjoyed that. Host. Yeah, that was good. That I was like kind of scared watching the second half of that movie. I was like, this is a bit
much. It was, I thought it was legitimately scary.
Yeah.
I really like The Vast of Night, which is kind of this strange little indie film on Amazon Prime. It's kind of it's hard to describe. It's like a period piece sort of radio broadcast alien invasion. Very cool. Kind of Twilight Zone-y, if you like that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. Really well made though, low budgety kind of film. Trying to remember like what else has stood out.
Did you see The Invisible Man? The new Invisible Man?
I did. I saw it in theaters before.
Okay, yeah, because it
at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it came out right at the end of February, so it was just right at the cusp. Yes. Great movie. That is an example of how you do a remake in modern times. I thought, like, you take a story that could have been silly, but they really make it scary and contemporary and effective. I love the 1933 film by James Whale, and then I could also love the 2020 version, which is its whole different thing.
Yep, exactly. But in past couple of weeks, I've just been going through old Christmas movies that I haven't seen, or ones that are coming out now. And Happiest Season is fantastic. That was maybe one of my favorite movies of the year.
I loved Happiest Season. Yeah,
I thought that was great.
Great
Klaus,
ensemble cast.
Yep. Klaus, the animated feature on Netflix, I really enjoyed. I went back and watched the Christmas Chronicles, the Kurt Russell movies.
I struggled a bit through the Christmas Chronicles too, Jordan. I'm a huge Goldie Hawn fan, and she never acts anymore. So to see her with Kurt Russell in that was like, okay, well, I gotta watch this. So I had never seen the first one. Really enjoyed the first one. Second one was a little bit clunkier. I didn't like the second.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't. Yeah, I totally agree.
Although it was fun to watch her again. It's just been so long.
So all kinds of stuff. All over the map this past year. If something else pops into mind as to like what really stood out and blew me away.
Something that's been hard for me, Jordan. I don't know if you ever start a podcast where you're reviewing movies every week. It's been hard for me to week watch films for the podcast, research, take notes, record episodes, and then also stay up to date with new movies. I like a few days ago on Twitter, I was just like, someone tell me what to watch that was released in 2020, because I am like way behind. So I have this friend of mine who sent me his list of the top 20 films he has seen released in 2020, and I've seen like 3 of them. So I'm just gonna go down or up the list of just like probably from 20 to 1 and hopefully catch up. Thankfully, we have 2 extra months before Oscars this year because of the pandemic. Movies released in January and February of 2021 count toward the April ceremony of the Academy Awards, which is like might be the first time that's ever happened. I don't know.
Interesting.
Maybe they did it a little bit in the very early days, in like the late 20s, early 30s. But we're used to January to December. That's the calendar year for the Academy Awards. This year, because so many films were pushed back, they're allowing a few extra films to be considered that come out in January and February. And then I guess the 2022 ceremony will just be a truncated, like looking at 10 months from March to December of 2021. I think that's how it's worked. Usually you don't get a whole lot of Oscar material anyway in January, February, unless you're Silence of the Lambs, which came out Valentine's Day weekend of 1991, which always makes me laugh. What a great Valentine's Day movie.
Yeah.
Let's go see Hannibal Lecter, honey.
Yeah.
But yeah, so coming up here, we've got, of course, the Sundance Film Festival is at the end of January, and it's apparently all virtual this year. They're not having an actual festival in person. So I looked it up online, and like there's like windows of time where you can just watch the films like on your TV. So that's kind of innovative and new, right?
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I hadn't heard that. I knew a lot of the festivals were going virtual, but I just didn't think about Sundance. That was the next big one on the horizon. Yeah.
And I'll be curious to know, like, what are those filmmakers thinking right now? I feel like it'd be hard. Like, you get into Sundance and then it's virtual. It's like,
yeah, that would suck. I mean, it still is great. You don't want to be a complainer, but it's definitely no way that would be the same experience, because so much of the positive festival experience comes from who you meet and the experiences of being around people.
The experience of the festival. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It's more than just the laurels that you can put on the poster. So that's too bad. It sucks. But at the same time, hats off, because that's so difficult to do, is to get a film into a big festival like that.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it doesn't take anything away. I think if the best films of the upcoming festival, they will stick around in the year to come for sure. So that festival's coming up. I don't know about the festivals. Like Cannes is in May. I mean, that might be in person, like come May, if enough people get the vaccine. I don't know. I mean, these next like 3-4 months are going to be kind of touch and go. The first real big release of 2021, I'd say, is James Bond. No Time to Die.
In April?
No Time to Die is scheduled for the first week of April. Will things be good enough come April 1st that we can go see that in the theater and it'll come out around the world? I don't know.
I don't know.
I think come summer, I think come June, July, things might be getting a little bit back normal. I don't know if we'll be there quite in April.
Yeah, I feel like you'd be a little nervous if you're MGM, and that whatever the big summer 4th of July tentpole kind of scheduled releases would probably be feeling a little bit more realistic. That could be where things really start to pop off. But
they've pushed it back twice though, Jordan. They pushed it back from April to November, and then in October they pushed it back to April 2021. I don't know if can they push it again? I mean, I guess they have before. Know. The New Mutants, right, which finally came out in August. Wasn't that pushed back like 17 different times?
Yeah, that was, and it usually doesn't bode well. I mean, it certainly, like, you don't want that. Some of the movies that pushed or just kind of pulled themselves from a release slate altogether, I think those were the smarter moves, rather than continuing to announce and then have to move and reschedule. Rather just pull it out of there, get it out, get posters and trailers out of the mix, so that it feels a little bit more fresh when it finally does come out. And some of those are on probably both of our lists, movies that have done that approach. But the ones, that like Tenet just kept going and going and going, and New Mutants, like you said, and now Bond, I think there still is going to be a huge audience to see James Bond, especially if they can do it in theaters safely. At the right, the right timing and everything. But I don't know. Yeah. How long can you push until it sort of like devalues the property, the movie?
What would you do, Jordan, if it was your movie? I should say to our listeners, you're the director of Thankskilling and The Headhunter, among other feature films. If the Headhunter if you were kind of bringing that out around the country in 2021, like what would you just kind of have to just deal with the times and just, okay, if this is going to be virtual, if this isn't going to be playing on a giant screen with a theater of hundreds of people. You just kind of have to go with it and hope people find it.
Yeah, well, I think the films that have really benefited the past year are the more indie films, and certainly genre stuff, right? There's a lot of things that you see come out that feel like they maybe had been sort of sitting around and no one really knew what to do with, and now they're just kind of putting them out.
Dropping, yeah.
and those are, those were gonna have maybe rocky waters no matter what was going on. But for an indie film like The Headhunter, yeah, I think you wouldn't bat an eye at just releasing it, something that was going straight to VOD and DVD and streaming services from the outset. I think that's totally fine. If you had the big theatrical film, like we'll get into, I'm sure, like Dune or James Bond, I think that's really, really tricky. And I guess it would just come down to, what I would do is I would prefer to wait until it was actually safe.
Yeah.
And until people could go back to quote unquote normal, to go and see the film,
and guarantee that people will feel safe enough to go to the movie.
I don't want.
Was not necessarily the case with Tenet by Christopher Nolan. Let's just put it out there. It's like, okay,
sure. And it's so tricky because there's so many people, sort of like, the general public can reduce like a film down to like, oh, who's the big name actors, or who's the studio, who's the filmmaker. But there are so many hundreds of people that worked on that film that also get residuals when the movie comes out and does well. And so there's so many people that you're thinking about, like their income, their livelihoods, and just, the business of it is so massive. But yeah, I'd feel really guilty about putting out a big film right now and asking people to go and see it, knowing that you could potentially be putting them in harm's way.
Exactly.
Or that somebody could get sick or something could go wrong, and it be because of your film. I just wouldn't. It'd be hard to live with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if you got the big thing, if it was my decision, I would just wait until the timing was right and hope that, spruce up a new trailer, a new poster, whatever it is that you can do, and just hope that people still want to see it bad enough that they will.
Have you seen a movie in a theater since March?
No, I haven't. No, the last movie I saw was The Way Back, the Ben Affleck movie.
Okay,
I think
that was like that was like the last weekend right before everything shut down.
That was it. I was going to see, what was the Onward, and then I canceled those tickets, and that was it. That was the end. Yep.
Yeah. The last film I saw in a theater, well, I did see Tenet. I went to like a morning screening on kind of a random day. There were 6 people in the whole theater, so I felt very safe. There wasn't. Yeah. I mean, it was fine. But it was kind of, I mean, that's a 2.5 hour movie, and I had to wear a mask the whole time. I was like, this is kind of stupid. Yeah. I'd rather just watch this at home. Other than that, the last film I saw was Jojo Rabbit, like the day before the Oscars in February. Yeah. So since early February, I've only been once. I don't know. I mean, my thing is, if there was a film that came out that like just was really, really wanted to see, and that was the only way to, I might like try, but I'm not going to go on a Friday night at 7. Like I would go find a time where it would be a pretty quiet, if there's a couple people in the theater, that's okay. I just wouldn't want to be like surrounded by 20 people right now. It's not a good idea. But come summer, definitely come fall, I'm really crossing my fingers that, some of these films that we're going to talk about on this episode are not pushed back to 2022, Jordan.
I know. Let's hope. Well, and who knows with the HBO Max stuff and just all of the streaming services.
What's your take on this idea of Warner Brothers? What do they have, like 17 titles I heard for 2021, and this idea that they're just on the day, they're just going to bring it out in the theater and then drop it on HBO Max the same day. It makes sense for me with Wonder Woman because of the state of the world right now, but like to all the way into December 2021, I feel like shouldn't it be kind of touch and go, like based on where we are, like each passing month? Like why make that decision for a whole year? I don't know.
I know. I'm not. Look, I mean, there's been a lot of the movies that now everyone's experiencing this in theaters and on demand simultaneous sort of release pattern that's going on, and I have not brought myself to buy a movie for $20, a digital movie that I just don't, and I don't even have this massive physical media collection or anything. I just, for $20, $30, I just don't want to. I can wait a little longer to either to rent the movie or wait till it hits a streaming service.
Yep.
or I want to own a Blu-ray with all this loaded with the special features, or mostly I want to see it in theaters. I want to see it big with a crowd. There's nothing that's going to compare to that. So I've not felt the need to like go and invest in this massive home theater setup and watch the biggest blockbusters at home. So the news of Dune and all the bigger, films coming to HBO Max, like, doesn't really get me that excited. Like, every now, something like Wonder Woman, like you said, because of the timing, or some other films, I think. But I don't want just to know that everything's going that route. It doesn't. That's not what I want.
That does not bode well for movie theaters. I think if that becomes the norm of like everything just opens and then but if you want to stay home on the day it opens and watch it on HBO Max or Netflix or whatever it may be, like people are going to stop. There will be people like us who will always be loyal to the movie theater experience, no matter what, to the end of my days. Like right. I'd rather go see any movie in a theater if that's a possibility. But I think if people have the option now, especially if it doesn't cost extra, like Wonder Woman is not costing $20. It's if you have HBO Max, you can just watch it. It's not like Mulan, which dropped, I believe, Labor Day weekend and was $30 extra to rent it, which I'm like, I wanted to watch it. I'm like, not for $30.
Right.
Like, I guess if you have a family of 10, like, yeah, go for it.
Sure.
But if it's just myself. So then, yeah, I waited 3 months, and then the first weekend of December, and Mulan became available on Disney Plus, and I watched it when it was available. But yeah, this idea of like, oh, well, like Wonder Woman 1984, I would prefer to see that in the theater. I don't know if I feel safe enough right now to go see in the theater. And the fact that it doesn't cost me any extra because I have HBO Max, I'm like, well, I could just watch it at home. But then I don't want to think that way. I don't want to think that way going into like mid to late 2021. Like, oh, I'll just watch everything at home. It's easier. It's still better to see it in the theater. But if there is that option for people to just watch it at home opening weekend, a lot of people are going to take that offer up. And I'm a little bit nervous about that when it comes to theaters because I don't want them to go away.
Yeah, I know. I don't either. And it certainly isn't probably going to be good for piracy because you're just putting that out there at a digital copy at a high resolution that it's never going to, or at least in theaters, I'm stuff is going up, I'm sure, on all of the pirating websites at the same time. But I think you could offset it a little bit by, certainly the theatrical release. It just, I don't know. I hope, and maybe it's wishful thinking, that we don't have to have this our theater's dead conversation kind of thing, and that I do believe there's going to be a lot of energy and interest in going to seeing movies in theaters again as soon as people can.
Yeah, I think when this is all over, and you're starting to read that online, like people saying, once this is over, there's going to be more people traveling, more people going to the theater, going to plays, wanting to do stuff outside the house, like again, after a year or more. I mean, 2019 was such a huge box office year for movie theaters. I mean, just Disney alone, right? In 2019, it was just one mega hit after another. I think if the content is there and people are better and they feel safe and they want to go back to the theater, as long as the content is there and there's a lot of great movies we want to see, I don't think theaters are dying yet. I really do.
I don't think
they're gonna. It's gonna be a long road and it's not gonna be overnight. But I think we're gonna come back from this. And by 2022, if not before then, like things will be hopefully back to normal when it comes to the movie theater experience. I just don't want a ton of movies to be going, to like HBO Max or VOD on the same day. I don't like that trend, especially Dune, which to me, it's like, I can't even imagine watching that at home. That is a theatrical experience. The upcoming.
I know. I literally would, maybe if this stuff doesn't change, I would literally have to go out and buy a 65-inch TV because otherwise I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to subject myself to watching
it on your phone
like that certainly.
Dune just dropped. Let me phone.
God, could you imagine that experience?
So that takes us to the upcoming movies, Jordan. So I have a list of my 10 that I really am excited about, and then I have like another 10 runners up. If you want to kind of get a start, I don't know if you listed them or if you just have a list.
No, I didn't. I kind of went to like the top sort of 4, and then a couple of others that are more of the blockbustery things that I would normally go see, but I'm not like dying to see.
So let's start with your kind of runners up outside of the 4. Like what are the other ones you wrote down?
I put Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun Maverick. That's on my top 10 list. I did a Tom Cruise double feature because apparently Mission Impossible 7 is supposed to drop by December. So he might have two. He might have 2 movies in 2021.
Okay, so that'll be cool. I mean, and that's the kind of movie that I would absolutely go and see, but I've not been salivating for Top Gun sequel for the past 30 years or whatever it's been.
86, the original came out, so it's been a while.
Yeah, so more. Yeah.
35 years.
But I bet it'll be a lot of fun, and it'll be awesome to see in IMAX, and so I'm looking forward to that. And then the other one that's in that kind of category I'd put is the Suicide Squad. And not because I love the DC stuff. I'm not like a huge comic book movie nerd, to be honest. I kind of come and go just depending on which one is out and if I'm,
if you're interested. Yeah.
Right. But I do like James Gunn. And I did think, and I did really, the Guardians of the Galaxy films are probably my favorite of the Marvel films. And I obviously love Dawn of the Dead and Slither. In Super, his indie sort of superhero film was great. So I'm excited to see what he'll do with this, and just to sort of see what somebody who has now played in both the Marvel and DC worlds, how that same filmmaker looks transitioning between the two universes.
And when's that scheduled for? Summer?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know.
It's hard, right? Because I feel like some of these films we're talking about might be pushed back. Like I have a couple films on here. I'm like, well, I don't know if this is necessarily going to be opening by December, but they're I think all of the films on my list have been shot, so they're coming at some point. Right? I think there's already been films shot that are coming out in 2022. The very first film dropping, Jordan, in 2022 is Scream 5, which in October, I want to say, or early November. Which they're calling it Scream.
Yeah. Just calling it Scream.
I was not a fan of that decision. I'm like, why? I mean, I guess because it was already a long stretch between Scream 3 and Scream 4. And now it's been another, 10, it will have been about 12 years since Scream 4. So I guess it kind of makes sense, kind of like the Halloween 2018. But now we have to call 2 different movies Scream. I don't like that.
Well, I suspect your opinion, the general opinion might change if the plot is about reboots, which I bet they're going to touch upon that. Who knows? Maybe in the film, instead of it being Stab 5, it was going to be called Stab, and so that's a plot point. And then suddenly it justifies the title a little more.
I think there'll be something about the plot. I still don't know what the movie's about. It's probably going to be something like that. Because Neve Campbell was not on set very long. I think she was on the movie for like a week or maybe 2 weeks. Like she wasn't on set.
Really?
So I don't think it's going to be like a direct. I'll be surprised if it's a direct sequel to 4 and it's just like 10 years later, back with Sydney. Like I feel like there's going to be some sort of unique take on Scream with this one. I just watched. Speaking of movies I recently watched, I want to say about a month ago, I watched their film, the directors of Scream 5. They Ready or Not. From 2019.
A lot of fun.
Great movie. Really fun. Really, just such great energy in that movie. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. Because that it had to be pretty good to get like Courtney Cox and Neve Campbell especially back. So without Wes Craven's involvement. I know Neve Campbell was like, I'm not making another Scream without Wes. But she came back, she did a new one. So there must be something to it that's going to be really special. Hoping it doesn't disappoint. That's coming in January of 2022, so we're about a year out. So what are some of the did you have any other ones, Jordan, outside of your top 4, or were those 2 your big ones?
Oh, those were the 2. I mean, I'll be first in line to see Halloween Kills and all of the other so many different films that are going to be coming out next year. They just aren't necessarily the ones that I'm like the most excited genuinely for.
Cool. So I've got a runners up list here. I'll just kind of go through them real quick, and if you have, if they're on your list, or you can talk about them. I have one title that's like kind of an awards favorites, winning everything for the upcoming Oscars that I believe is not actually being released until February, and that's Nomadland. with Frances McDormand. It keeps winning stuff. I keep hearing this friend of mine, it's on his top 3. He says it's amazing. So I've been trying to like, how do I watch this movie? But it's called Nomadland. It's supposed to be amazing. That's coming soon. For past the Oscar ceremony for like films of 2021, Edgar Wright has a new movie coming out called Last Night in Soho. Edgar Wright is one of those directors. He did, of course, Baby Driver and Scott Pilgrim and like all these great movies. Like if he's directing the film, like I'll just go see it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need to know what it's about. I don't need to watch a trailer. We're getting Fast and Furious 9. Are you a Fast and Furious fan?
Really? I've come and gone. I wouldn't say I'm a Fast and Furious fan, no, to be honest. I think I saw the James Wan one was the last one I saw.
Okay. That one was good. The last Paul Walker one, yeah.
And but so no, I've lost track of the the storyline.
Is the 10th one going to be like Jason X, like Fast and Furious X?
Didn't they say they wanted to go to space or something? Like maybe it was space. A joke, but I feel like Vin Diesel wants to go to space or something.
I feel like they should do a nod to Jason X in the 10th one and do Fast and Furious X in space. I feel like people would go like they'd be like, okay.
Probably.
Lin-Manuel Miranda has a new movie called In the Heights coming in the summer, which I'm looking forward to. There's a new Pixar movie called Luca. I like that Pixar, Jordan, is not just pumping out the sequels right now, right? So I
love it.
They did Onward, and then
that was amazing.
They have a new film that just dropped on Disney Plus called Soul on
Supposed to be fantastic. Yeah.
Which I haven't watched yet, but I'll be watching in the days to come. I've heard really good things. And then they have another film coming out next summer called Luca. It's also an original property. So it's not Cars 4. Thank God.
Good. Yeah. Onward is so good.
I loved Onward.
I heard that. I thought it was great. Like they are so good at storytelling and also then like giving you these sort of movies that you don't expect. Like the ending of Onward, it's
really
like
emotional.
It's so heartfelt, but like it's such a great meaning. But it also isn't exactly what you expected the film to end like. Based on the trailers and the setup and everything. So it was great.
Yeah. So they're on a good run right now. I'm excited to see their next 2 films. Candyman, which was supposed to come out last fall, or maybe even before that. We have a Candyman. It's kind of a reboot, right? It's not. Is it a sequel or is it like a total reboot of the story?
I don't know. That's on my list. That was on my.
That's on your top 4. Okay.
Yeah, and
what are we excited about Candyman?
Top 4. Well, because it will I don't know if it's a reboot or not, but I think Tony Todd is involved. Okay. So I'm guessing there is some passing of the torch. You know, I'm excited because Yahya Abdul-Mateen, I think he's awesome. He's one of my favorite actors working. And it just looks interesting. It just looks like an interesting way to reboot something. And I wasn't a huge Candyman fan growing up.
It was a little bit early for us, I want to say. It came out in 92, and so I was too young to see it at the time. So I didn't discover it until later. Yeah, it's a fun one, though.
But it's fun, and I love that they released the little animation sort of short clip or trailer from the reboot, from the new Candyman. And it just looks really creepy and just really well done. So I'm just curious to see what they're going to do with it.
And I just recently, I want to say in the last year, I watched the sequel from 95, Candyman Farewell to the Flesh.
Yeah.
Which was not as good as the first one. So and Jordan Peele is involved, right? He's like the producer or executive producer.
I think he's an executive producer.
I have high hopes for the new Candyman. I don't know when it's dropping. I don't know when it's coming out. It'll be sometime in 2021. Let's see. Ridley Scott has a new film coming out, a new epic action film called The Last Last Duel. I think Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are involved in that. And I believe, I think it has some big names in it. But yeah, I think that's probably going to be like a holiday release. I love Ridley Scott, and he's getting up there in age. What is Ridley Scott, like 82, 83? He's got to be getting up there. Yeah. So he only, he probably only has a few more films left. Excited to see what he does with that. The Matrix 4. What do we think about that, Jordan?
I wasn't ever the biggest The Matrix
me neither.
Like phenomenon kind of went over my head, to be honest. It didn't. I think actually The Matrix 2 was one of the first R-rated movies that I bought a ticket for myself.
Cool.
But I wasn't obsessed with the Matrix. And I've gone back and revisited bits, and it's never totally landed with me, to be honest. So the Matrix 4, I mean, I'll go back and I should probably give them all another chance and just sit and watch them, because I feel like every time it's one of those movies that you watch and you just haven't been focused on. You're distracted, or you're not in the right setting, or whatever. But
I really enjoyed the first one. I remember seeing opening weekend in early '99. I liked it. I wasn't walking out like the best film of all time.
Yeah.
And then I really did not like the sequels. The 2 sequels from 03. I sat through both of them. Never revisited the sequels since. I was like, nope.
Yeah.
So I think my compromise will be I'll rewatch The Matrix 1 again, and then go see 4.
Yeah.
I'm not going to watch the sequels again if I don't have to. So that's coming out, I believe, in December. Damien Chazelle, who directed La La Land and Whiplash, 2 of my favorite films of the last 10 years. He has a new film. I don't know if they're shooting it yet. It's called Babylon. That's supposed to come out in December. He has a new project in the works. So I'll follow him anywhere. He's a great younger director. I believe the youngest director to win Best Director for La La Land. He was like, he's younger than I am, Jordan. and he's whipping up these great films. First Man was good too with Ryan Gosling.
He made a really good short, like a vertical sort of shot iPhone little short that was great about the stunt man or something.
Oh yeah. I forgot
recently.
To watch that. Yeah, I heard about that.
It's really good.
Is it cool?
It's fantastic.
It's just like what, 5 minutes? How long is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's probably 5 or less.
And you watch it on your phone, right?
Yeah. It was shot. I don't know if it was for Quibi, but it was all about the shooting things for vertical orientation rather than the traditional horizontal.
Okay. So yeah, I'm looking. It's been, his last feature was 2018. So yeah, hoping that comes out by the end of the year. I'd like to see another one from him. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, I forgot about that Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Which I believe was supposed to come out last summer, and now is, I think, scheduled for summer 2021. That I remember I think a trailer of that dropped like before the pandemic. Like there was like a good long trailer. It didn't show Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd or any of the the main stable of actors from the first movie, but I think they're all in it except for maybe Rick Moranis. I don't think and then of course Harold Ramis passed away a few years ago. But it's Jason Reitman, son of Ivan, who directed the first 2. And so we'll see what that's all about. I know people have, a lot of people really despise the all-female Ghostbusters from, was it 2016? I want to say. I mean, it was fine. It wasn't bad because of the women. It just, the story wasn't great, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see what they do with this one. I guess this one will be a little bit more of like a genuine like Ghostbusters 3. So we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, it's the plot, isn't it? That basically a group of younger kids.
Yeah.
Then come into the Ghostbusters lore and then the old
Isn't it Harold Ramis's kids, or is it grandkids? Maybe grandkids.
Oh, I think you're right. I think it is the grandkids somehow, and they dust off the old car out in the barn, and
and it's the Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things. I think is like the kid. Yeah, so I mean, that one could go either way. Like I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Ryan Coogler, the director of Creed and Black Panther, has a new movie coming out this year called Judas and the Black Messiah. That is a fantastic director. So I don't know much about. I think it's like a historical film, so that should be good.
Okay.
It's the star of Get Out. So that there's an image of it online. Look really, really interesting. I want to see that.
Okay.
And then the last one I have in my runners up here, I have The French Dispatch, the new Wes Anderson movie, with like all of his last few films, just the most absurd, huge ensemble cast.
Yeah.
I don't have the list in front of me, but if you look up the cast list of his new movie, The French Dispatch, it's like insane. It's like 30 names.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. Yeah. How do you how is there enough screen time for all these people? Yeah. Are you a Wes Anderson fan?
Not a huge one, no, but also one of those filmmakers that maybe I've only seen maybe Life Aquatic. Or I'm trying to think of which one I've seen.
My favorite of his is the Royal Tenenbaums with Gene Hackman. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen that.
That's really fun. Watch that one. That's a good one.
Okay.
I'm not a huge, like, I'm kind of hot and cold on him. Like sometimes, like I really enjoyed Moonrise Kingdom and the Grand Budapest Hotel. I don't really like Life Aquatic or the Darjeeling Limited and Rushmore, which everybody loves. I'm kind of kind of in the middle on that one. So yeah, I'm kind of like, I go back and forth with him.
Yeah.
So we'll see what his new one's all about. All right, so that takes me to my top 10. So if you want to maybe talk about like your number 4 pick, like what's one of the other? So you already Candyman was one of the 4, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say Candyman is one of the 4.
What's another one?
Another one is let's say Dune.
Okay, Dune. That's
Dune
on my top 5. Yeah.
And again, I didn't rank it. A lot of what you're talking about, actually, I should have gone through and actually looked at the list of everything that was coming. But Dune,
just
definitely.
Like 10 minutes.
I know.
Dune looks phenomenal.
Yep.
Looks
and I
so
have
good.
not read the book. I have seen the David Lynch movie. I was not crazy about it.
That's the only Lynch movie I don't like. Is
yeah.
It's
I would agree with that. It is. Yeah. There's bits of David Lynch there, but it just doesn't. I don't know.
It was too big of a film for him at the time. I think just too big.
Yeah,
he couldn't quite.
He had his little Star Wars sort of almost
did
experience.
The third one. Yeah,
right. So maybe there was some of that, and I don't know. It doesn't. I'm not crazy about the original Dune, but I love Denis Villeneuve. So basically, whatever he's going to do, I'll watch. Like you said, he's just one of those filmmakers that I'll watch anything that he does. So I'm very excited to see what happens with this.
It seemed like a property that was due for a remake, for a new version. The Lynch film is not very good. It's 1984. It's a long time ago. I think it was timed for a new Dune, and he was the right director, I think, for this. Like, especially after Blade Runner 2049, which looked so stunningly gorgeous. I think he's the right guy for this, and great cast, and hoping for good things. That would have come out in October. We would have seen it.
I know.
It's now pushed a year to October 2021.
Yep.
So that's in my top 5 for sure. Some other films in my top 10 I'm looking forward to. Meryl Streep, Jennifer Lawrence, and Leonardo DiCaprio are doing a funny political movie. I don't know if it's wrapped filming yet, but it's director Adam McKay, who did The Big Short and Vice, and of course Anchorman. So he got this crazy good ensemble cast. I don't know much about it. Meryl Streep talked about it on Stephen Colbert a couple weeks ago. She's playing the president of the United States, and I'll see anything with DiCaprio. I just think he's such a great actor, so I'm excited for that. See what comes of that movie. A Quiet Place Part 2, which was supposed to come out, Jordan, on March 20th. It was literally had its film premiere in early March.
That's right. It did premiere.
A week out, they canceled it. That's when I knew things were getting real, Jordan.
Because
A Quiet Place 2 was a week out, and then they canceled the film. I was like, oh my God, this is not good. That and Disneyland closing. That's when I knew things were real.
And didn't Quiet Place it got pushed to the fall and then just pushed indefinitely?
It was pushed to September 2020, and then it was. I don't even think it has a release date right now, does it? I don't even know.
I don't. It's funny because driving around, I saw billboards for months afterwards. It was just like these crazy release dates. They're like, oh yeah, that didn't happen. I
had on my Twitter. I had my Twitter banner from starting in like mid-January 2020 was A Quiet Place Part 2. Because that was the first film of the year I was really excited for. A Quiet Place 1 from 2018 was on my top 5 of the year. I love that movie. I still do. Such a unique film, right? Like having to stay quiet for the whole movie, and just a really great family story too, beyond just the horror of it. And so I guess the second one, it opens the world up a little bit. So I'm excited to see what John Krasinski does with that. The filmmaker I did not expect a horror movie from, but he delivered big time. So I'm excited to see what he does with it. Hoping it comes out. I'm hoping it doesn't just get dropped on video on demand one random day in like March or April. I hope I can see it in the theater. That'd be a fun one to watch in the theater.
At this point, I don't know that if they were going to have done that, they probably already should have. At this point now, you just got to write it out. That'll be good. I'm excited
for that. I'm a huge Sandra Bullock fan. She just wrapped a new drama that's coming to Netflix later in 2021. Don't know much about it. I've just seen some stills. Looks like a very dramatic performance. She has like no makeup. She's like in prison. Kind of curious to see. She hasn't done like a really great like just kind of straight dramatic role for a long time. I mean, Bird Box was a drama. Did you see Bird Box? I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I saw Bird Box.
Which was kind of like a supernatural horror film, kind of similar to A Quiet Place, actually. But she hasn't done like a really just like a drama for a long time. So I'm excited to see that. My number 7 would be the 2 Top Gun movies, as we talked about, Top Gun 2 and Mission Impossible 7. I don't know if 7 will come out in 2021. That might be 2022, but we'll see. I think they're still filming it.
Well, yeah, that's where the famous Tom Cruise rant came from now.
That rant was epic. So
Nothing
good.
like a good actor rant caught behind the scene. Yeah, that who knows? I mean, I guess it's all going to be about timing, and maybe if there's a run on, if the box office, if all these movies are making a ton of money, then they might say, let's get Mission Impossible out.
I think it's going to depend on the next 6 months. Like if come June, if people are going to theaters again and movies are making lots of money, I think we're going to get an onslaught of like huge movies come November, December. If it's still touch and go come July, August, I feel like we're going to have some holiday releases pushed to the following summer or later the following year, 2022. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, I'm looking for, I've always enjoyed, I mean, even going back to like the 90s, like I really enjoy the films of Tom Cruise. I kind of miss him doing dramas. Like he hasn't done a drama in a long time. Now he's just action star for life. I'm like, is he going to be 80 and still be doing Mission Impossible? Like he's so great in Magnolia. Like, I'm like, come on, let's do another kind of like, gritty, like dramatic role in like a smaller film. I hope he does that again. Hope it's not only action.
I think he's just getting it out of his.
Yeah.
I would guess he's getting it out of his system, and he's like, well, I
can only do this for so long.
Right. Yeah, I can only do this for so long. Let me just do these for a few more years. And how old is Tom Cruise now? I mean, he really doesn't age. It doesn't feel like it.
I feel like he's like 50s? Is he like 56, 57? I think he's around there somewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah,
fairly. I mean, he was acting in films all the way back to 81. I mean, he started very young.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's never had a down period where he just kind of disappeared for a while. He's always just kept going.
His only down period was from 96 to 99 because he spent 2 years filming Eyes Wide Shut for Stanley Kubrick.
Oh yeah.
So that movie was like in production for I think almost 2 years of his life. So he was like so that was like the one stretch of like 3 years where we didn't see him for a while. But then he came back with that and Magnolia the same year. So that was a huge comeback, if you'd call it a comeback. I mean, he's always kind of been popular since the beginning.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to his films. Number 6, I put West Side Story, which was supposed to be in theaters right now. I love the original from 61. It's Steven Spielberg's new movie. He's been, I've been following his career very closely, as I'm sure a lot of, film fans do. He's wanted to make a musical for his entire career, going all the way back to Temple of Doom in 84, which opens with a musical number, the second Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah.
Like he has talked in interviews here and there about he's always wanted to do a musical. He's finally in his mid 70s. He's finally made a musical that unfortunately was pushed back a year to December 2021. But it's Tony Kushner, who he worked with on Lincoln and Munich, and I'm just excited to see what they put together here. It's such great songs. They got Reno Moreno back from the original, and so we'll see what comes of that. Sad I have to wait another year, but eventually we'll get there.
Yep.
What's another one on your list? Any of the other two?
I will say The Green Knight.
What is The Green Knight? I don't know of this.
The Green Knight is a new movie by David Lowery. He did Ghost Story, and I didn't see the Old Man and the Gun, Old Man with the Gun, Old Man and the Gun.
Oh yeah, the Robert Redford. Yeah.
But check out the trailer for Green Knight.
Okay,
that'll sell you on it. It's an A24 A24 film.
Oh,
I don't know the story.
Love A24.
You'll think it looks cool. It's got some kind of dark gothic fantasy vibe going on. And the trailer is really good and it looks really interesting.
Cool.
And it was one of those things where you see a couple of glimpses of it and then I shut it down so that I get I get nothing else until the movie comes out. Because I'm already sold.
Does that have a release date?
I don't know. I don't know if it's I have no idea. I'm sure it does, but I don't know if that has changed or if it was always originally planned for next year or not.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So my number 5 is like a list of films. It's the Marvel films. We have finally gone a year, Jordan, without any Marvel properties, TV, films. A friend of mine reminded me the other day the last Marvel movie release was Spider-Man Far From Home, July 2019. So this will have been the longest stretch between films. We have on Disney Plus, they're dropping the first Marvel show, WandaVision, is coming in mid January. And then there's like a bunch of shows coming. Did you see that that announcement a few weeks ago of like 26 Star Wars properties? It's like, oh my god. There's just
I saw the logos. I was like,
just insanity of like, okay, because the Mandalorian is great. If they can keep up the quality like that, I'm all in. But making like 7 Star Wars shows at once, that could be a bit overkill. We'll see how it could
be. Yeah.
But yeah, I like the Marvel films usually more than the DC. I loved Avengers Endgame. That was on my top 10 list of 2019. That was a great, like, if you've been watching the movies for 10, 11 years, that was a great finale like no other. That was like a really emotional final hour of that movie. I loved it. And yeah, so we'll see what comes of all of these. Black Widow is first with Scarlett Johansson. We've got the Eternals, Shang-Chi, and apparently Spider-Man 3 is on the calendar for December. I don't think they're going to have 4 films in 1 year. That sounds like too crazy.
In the Spider-Man
2 or 3.
That's interesting, right? Because aren't they trying to do some sort of a multiverse thing where they bring back Tobey Maguire
and Andrew Garfield? They're gonna like
Alfred
be in
Molina
it.
Is in
Alfred
it
Molina.
As well, and
so that could be fun.
That could be interesting. I think that they're onto something there with the idea of being able to bring back old casting choices for the same superhero, and that they all, like, if you could somehow incorporate Michael Keaton, which they are, right, in some kind of in the Flash or something as Batman. Again.
Yeah, that's right. The Flash movie, right? They're getting Michael Keaton as Batman
like that.
Again. Yeah,
as old man Bruce Wayne or whatever. But the idea of bringing back and kind of tying them all into the same movie, that's going to be interesting. So that one has my interest. Or
I want to say, is Spider-Man 3 in production right now? I want to say it's in production. Like, I think they've started filming.
I think they started somewhere. I don't know where, but yeah.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they had 4 theatrical films in 2021. I think that's overkill. I don't know if they would do that, but we'll see.
Yeah,
I guess they could just pump them out every 3 months. Just go for it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at least I think we'll get at least 2 or 3 of those 4 in 2021. I'm excited for Black Widow. I really like the trailer for that. It looked kind of interesting.
It did look good, yeah.
Yeah, good cast in that. My number 4, Jordan. For those of you just listening, I'm wearing my Saw t-shirt. The t-shirt that bonded me and Jordan together in the fall of 2004. A t-shirt I got at the very first, one of the first press screenings of Saw in late 2004 when I was a film critic for my college paper, the Loyola Marymount University, and just instantly fell in love with this movie. It's a very, what was that movie cost? Like $1 million, $2 million, something like that. It was a very, very low budget movie.
About $1 million, I think.
And we never could have imagined, Jordan, that there'd be all these sequels. We are getting another Saw starring Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
What is that about? And isn't Chris Rock involved with like the screenplay too, or he's like involved in some way beyond
it or something?
Yeah, he's like beyond just the actor. I think he was like involved in the making of it too, and like getting it off the ground. Since Saw 7, which came out in 2010, that was like considered kind of like the end of the series, because Cary Elwes came back from the first movie,
right?
And he reprised his role in number 7. And then we got Jigsaw from a few years ago, which I don't even remember if I watched. Like, I might have watched it.
I don't think I saw it.
It didn't stick with me if I did. I think this will be a much more significant reboot of Saw. Will be this film Spiral, coming out, I believe, in the summer sometime of 2021.
Yeah.
And with those 2 names attached for a Saw movie, I'm on board. I'm curious to see what they do with it.
Me too. Spiral is definitely on my list of things that I'm very, I guess, cautiously optimistic about, right? Like the trailer, and who knows? Yeah, and the director of part 2 and 3 and 4 is back as well.
Oh,
I think.
okay. That's the director? Gotcha.
I think so. Anyway, so yeah, it looks really interesting, and I hope that they take it back, and it sort of seems like it back to. I mean, the sequels, from what I remember, had the police investigation aspect, but when I rewatched the first Saw, even the past couple months, I realized how good how much it reminded me of Seven at the time.
Yeah.
As far as just the police investigation and that sort of like claustrophobic night set, seediness of an urban setting. And I hope that they go back to that a little bit, and less of the traps. I don't need a trap or a kill every 10 seconds.
Minutes.
Like, yeah, exactly.
Like, make it more of a mystery. Make it maybe slow it down a little bit, not just have it be this gore fest. Right.
Yes, exactly. Or when what was so effective of the first one is coming upon the aftermath of a trap, rather than just showing the full trap or the full execution kill. So I think that would be interesting if they kind of took it back a little bit more to the roots.
Yeah. Still one of the.
Seems like they might be.
Still one of the best scenes. Woo!
Fantastic. I mean, one of the
great classic Saw scenes. On my shirt.
So good. Yeah.
So looking forward to that. My number 3, of course, is Dune, which we've already talked about. I am seeing that in a theater, Jordan. I am not watching that at home. I don't care what it takes. I think come October 2021, I think we should be able to see movies in the theater. I really hope so.
Yes. Yeah.
So that I'm excited for. My number 2 would be No Time to Die, the new James Bond, which I've been waiting for a year now. 2019, I watched all of the Bond movies throughout the year in preparation for the 5th and apparently final Daniel Craig James Bond, and then the movie gets pushed, and then so that year spent watching all the Bonds didn't quite pan out the way I wanted to. But I feel like it's going to be good because Daniel Craig has been on this track record of Bond of Casino Royale is great. Quantum of Solace, not good. Skyfall, great. Spectre, not so good.
Yeah, so now we're going to be on really good.
And this is the 5th and final. It's got to be good, right?
Yeah. It looks pretty good.
The trailer looks solid. Great cast. Good villain. Looks like a really great villain. Rami Malek, right? From Bohemian Rhapsody. And I've just been bummed. We had to really wait on this one. But I'm glad they're not just dropping it on HBO Max. Like, I'm glad, like, they're, at least right now, they're holding tight. Like, I think they're waiting for a theatrical release. Even if they have to push it to summer, I'll wait. I want to see that in the theater too.
Yeah, same here. That Bond is, I'm always excited for it's one of those franchises that like doesn't have to go overboard with the trailers they don't every single time you see a new Bond film, it doesn't reinvent the wheel. It in fact kind of just does a lot of the same. It's like, oh great, we're going to go onto another international territory and we're going to now have a new little gadget on the car, but they're always just so much fun. I think hopefully they can tap into, like you said, Skyfall and Casino Royale. Why those were so good is because they like that final act of Skyfall out in the house. It's so unlike another Bond film. Casino Royale is so unlike other Bond films. If they can spice it up with a little bit of that kind of stuff where just there's some unexpected things, hopefully then, it's more memorable, like you said, than Spectre has moments. But
I watched it again and I was like, nope. Not a great movie. But same director, Sam Mendes, did both. He did Skyfall and Spectre. And I don't know what happened with Spectre. I think maybe it was too rushed. Maybe they just went into production too fast. The story didn't grab me the way that the story in Skyfall did.
Yeah.
Like Skyfall, like I walked out of Skyfall, I was like, that is the Dark Knight of the James Bond series. Like that was, and I think some people were kind of against the movie doing that. Oh, we're actually going to like be serious here and go into his past. And, Judi Dench is going to die as M and do this like really dramatic moves. And I loved everything. I felt like it was like a classic callback to certain things of like the 60s and 70s, like with his car and stuff. But it was also pushing the franchise forward into the new future. And I thought Skyfall had best of both worlds. And I'm hoping No Time to Die is, somewhere in that space of like doing similar things that Skyfall did, but also mixing it up and giving us something new and fresh. So we'll see what comes of No Time to Die. Can you guess my number 1 pick, Jordan? We haven't really talked about.
Trying to think, what's the big? Oh, I know.
What?
The Snyder Cut.
No. That is so far. that is like so far away from like what I was thinking of. Like the Snyder Cut, I don't even know if I'm that interested in watching. I mean, I really did not like Batman versus Superman or like Justice League, which was like okay. But what is the Snyder Cut supposed to be? Like 4 hours long? Like, I'm good. You know what? You know, all of you tell me how it is.
Yeah.
You know, I'll just wait to hear what everybody. If everybody says, "Oh my God, it's unbelievable! You have to watch it. It's amazing," then yes, I'll watch it. But until that day,
right? Yeah. No, I don't think that day's coming. But
no, my pick, Jordan, is Halloween Kills, which I am particularly excited about because they're bringing back actors from the original 1978 movie reprising their roles. We've got it's not just Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, who's back. We have Kyle Richards, who's now like on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or whatever it is. She was the little girl in Halloween. She was like the little girl of the two kids. She is playing the same part in the new Halloween sequel. So that's just kind of cool, right? Like to see her like reprise that role from the original. They didn't get the guy who played the little boy in the original. I don't think he has an agent. I think it was like hard to track him down. So they got, you know, a more established actor, Anthony Michael Hall, who's of course we know from like The Breakfast Club and some of the classic teen films. He's playing an older Tommy Doyle, and I actually think he kind of looks like the adult of that boy in the 78 version. So he's back. Charles Cypher, who played the Sheriff Brackett in the original, he's in Halloween Kills. It might just be a scene. It might just be like a brief scene.
Yeah.
But he's back. Nick Castle, I guess, is another scene in the sequel where he's got the mask on. I don't know what scene it'll be. And then the nurse from the original. I'm blanking on what her name is, the actress's name. Nancy Stevens, who plays like the nurse in the original. She's also briefly in the sequel, Halloween 2, where she comes back at the end and she goes to the hospital. She was the opening kill in Halloween H2O from 1998. Did you see Halloween H2O?
Like at the time, only once.
She's killed at the beginning of that movie after Joseph Gordon-Levitt gets it before she does. But she is back in Halloween Kills as that character from the 1978 original. So there's just that stuff. It's like apparently the sequel is about kind of a community, the community of Haddonfield banding together to take Michael down. I love that premise. That's a really cool idea for a sequel because the second one can't just be, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis battling him again. Like it's got to be something else. I don't know how much of the sequel Curtis will be in. I'm assuming it'll be just part of the movie. I don't think she's the focus of the sequel, Halloween Kills. But then after that, we get a third one, which I believe has not been shot yet. They shot Kills in the fall of 2019. So that's done. I don't think they've shot the third one yet, but that's called Halloween Ends and is supposed to come out in 2022. I'll be very curious to see how this new trilogy of Halloween will wrap up. I'll be surprised if Laurie Strode is alive by the end of the third one.
No way.
I feel like after, I mean, what is so Jamie Lee Curtis, she's done Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, the new Halloween, and then Kills and Ends. 7. I think she's in her early 60s. I think this is it. I don't think she's going to do more after Ends. So I feel like Ends has to have a great kind of culmination of these 3 films. You know, I wonder if she's going to sacrifice herself to kill Michael or something. I don't know. Or it could just end with Michael dying finally, and then she just like walks off with her daughter and granddaughter, and everything is right in the world. But that's kind of how the 2018 version ended. And of course, he's not dead because you're just going to light him on fire? That's not going to kill him. Come on.
Right. Yeah. I almost feel like killing him even at the end of Ends would be, we've already tried that so many times and it's just like kind of falls flat because you know that it doesn't matter. He'll come back and you'll reboot or redo this. And so it's like, I'd rather see him win in the end. And kill Laurie. He already did that.
Well, he killed Laurie in Resurrection in a really dumb way. So if he's going to kill Laurie again, it better be It better be good. Like, don't cheat us the way that Resurrection did, for sure.
Just don't have her put on the mask and grab it. Like, do something like that, like where she becomes the killer or something like that. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, I kept waiting for like one of the Scream sequels to end with like Sydney being the killer or something.
Right.
I thought, like, I'm like, maybe in 4, it'll be her. Like, she's just like, she's gone crazy or something. And they never went that direction. I hope they don't in 5. But
maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
I don't know.
It.
But yeah, they've released a couple little glimpses of Halloween Kills. From what I've seen, it looks really good, and I really enjoyed the 2018. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping it sticks to its October 2021 release date. You can check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Jordan, that takes us to the end here. Thank you so much for doing this bonus episode with me. And for our listeners of Film at 50, stay tuned. In February, we have a longer chat about a 1971 horror film called Willard that was really fun, and I think you're going to enjoy. So stay tuned for that in the weeks to come. Jordan, just wrapping up here, if you want to just tell our listeners where they can find you online.
You can go on my website, jordan-downey.com, and there's links to, all the films I've made, and also social links, but you can find me and follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Jordan Downey. And anything that's coming out new, I'll post it there.
Yeah. And if you have new films coming out, Jordan, past 2021, let us know. We want to see them.
All right.
Yeah. This was so much fun, Jordan. Thanks for being here. Yeah. And thanks to all of you for listening. We will catch you next time on Film at 50.